hello. Welcome back to the VET S.O.S podcast. Remember, you do not have to drown in the sea of transition. You grab that VET S.O.S lifeline. We're here to help. And today, sitting on the stoop, we're about to get the scoop with these two young ladies. We have a Marine veteran, we have an Army veteran, and we got the Air Force veteran in the house. So we almost covered all aspects. But before we get started, I'm just gonna do a quick intro. Remember, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share the podcast, share the information, because what you're about to hear is gonna be fire. I'm telling y'all that right now. So, one of our guests, her name is Paige. She is a graduate of the American Film Institute. She is the Army veteran. She has also have two films that we're going to talk about today at the GI Film Festival. The first one is Guide On. The other one is Peanut Butter Shot. Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's some cool names. Don't worry, I'm going to have Paige explain why did she choose those titles for her short films. Then we have in the middle, we have the Marine, the Corps. We have the Corps here. Keshia, she's a programs director for the Foundation for Women Warriors, which is a nonprofit that's dedicated to honoring and empowering veteran women. Throughout her career, she has volunteered at multiple places. She's an advocate. And one of her biggest accolades, check this out, y'all. With the they call them the AAA, right? The 6th AAA, Central Postal Directory Battalion, an all-black Army Corps with the Congressional Gold Medal. And she has some information to talk about the GI Film Festival. Ladies, welcome to the scoop. How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Oh, this is gonna be good. I can't wait to hear about this GI Film Festival that's gonna go down in Washington, D.C. Here, when is it going down? Is it coming up soon?
November
4th and 5th.
Yeah.
November 4th and 5th. So it's right around the corner. So, mark your calendar. So if you in the Northeast or if you got chance to grab a plane, a short flight, get you one of those great tickets, and get your flight over there because it's going to be phenomenal. But before we start, I want to get the scoop on you, Paige. Like, how did you come to this space? And before we even start, what's Paige? Who is Paige? Where does Paige come from? What's the scoop on Paige?
The scoop on Paige is born and raised in Northern California and always wanted to do film my whole life. And when I got to graduating high school age, my parents were like, "Oh, that's not a hobby. You want to do that for real. That's not a real job." And so I actually ended up kind of going rogue, and I used the Army as my film school, or that was kind of the intention. So I joined specifically to do something that was related to film. So I was a 25 Romeo, which I don't think exists anymore. I think they're now 46 series. But I was an audio visual engineer basically in the Army. Did that for 7 years. Worked for it was very long AIT, so it was like a year of training, including basic training in AIT. And then I did 2 years with the NSA in Georgia. And then I did 4 years at the White House under Obama and Biden. And I set up all their live events all around the world. And got out, did my undergrad at the Art Institute in DC. And then applied to AFI here in LA. Got in, which was to my surprise. I was, like I was saying earlier before we started, that very much had imposter syndrome when I first got in, because I hadn't really been doing film for very long. I had been doing a lot of live events, I graduated into the void of 2020. So I did a lot of writing, but along with that was when I was doing the festival circuit with Guide On originally, when I first got into the GI Film Fest. So my original GI Film Fest experience was all online in COVID land. So a couple years later, I got a grant through Disney and AFI. They did a partnership, and I did Peanut Butter Shot, which was more on the comedy side. And got into GI Film Fest again as an alumni, which was like I got to be there in person this time, and it was such a wonderful experience just being able to like be there with all the vets and just swap stories and stuff. And now we're here, best of the fest, DC, back
Man,
to the old stomping grounds.
back to the old stomping ground. So, was you part of the? Is it the White House Communication Agency? Was that?
Yeah. Hmm.
Ah, you see, I mean, I got some
Yeah.
people that's still over there now. You know, like yeah, they have the little comments. Y'all have your own little section, and have all the latest equipment. You know, it must be nice. It must be nice.
Yeah, sorta.
Yeah, sort of, right? But we ain't gonna forget about you, Keshia. Like, so as the program director, like, you know, tell me your journey from coming in. You went into the core, and from the core you're here now. So walk us through, like, how did you, why the core? I'm just curious.
Because everyone said I couldn't do it.
There we go.
Um,
Oh.
my entire family did not want me to join the military at all. My grandfather was a World War II veteran, and he was very much Southern gentleman that believed that women shouldn't serve in the military. So that was never an option. He passed away when I was in high school, and I made the decision, a lot of prayers, hoping that he would forgive me, and was like, well, if I'm going to do it, at least if I go with what they call the toughest branch, maybe he'll forgive the fact that I did it. So I joined the Marine Corps, again, with not much support at all from my family. Served 10 years, loved every second of it just because it is so much of the identity of who I am. I had a really rough transition. I decided to leave at the 10-year mark after doing multiple deployments. And then my last 3.5 years, I was on funeral honors detail in Western New York. And I realized that probably I couldn't do it another 10 years, right?
Mm.
I got out, had a rough year and a half of trying to figure out where I belonged. I lost everything in a flood 13 months to the date that I ended my active service. So
Oh.
I paid off my vehicles, had no debt, was so excited to try and start over again. And when I lost everything, I realized that the only identity I had was being a Marine. And so I ended up finding the Foundation for Women Warriors, going to a Connect with Community event, learning about other women's stories, and kind of realized I wasn't by myself in the transition struggle.
Mhm.
With that, I became a serial volunteer for them for 6 years. During that time, I worked for another veteran nonprofit in retraining veterans to go into manufacturing careers because I realized that, my struggles can help other people. And I really wanted to continue to share my story because being in that room was the first time that I ever said anything about the struggles that I was having. But it also was the first time I realized I probably need to go get help for the things that I was struggling with. So I served there for 5.5 years, and then I came to the Foundation for Women Warriors 3 years ago. You mentioned that I volunteer in a lot of different spaces, and that's really why I volunteer in a lot of spaces because I feel like women's voices aren't heard, especially from the military perspective often. And then also, many veterans, don't look like me. And so I want to make sure that my voice is in that room and that
Mhm.
they're heard and represented, which is why I wear the mohawk. You won't forget me that way, right?
Yeah. It's I was the first thing I clocked. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's fucking awesome. That is an awesome haircut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta stand out, right? Like, look,
Yeah.
you ain't gonna forget me. Like, you gotta understand. Like, I'm here to stay. Like, I'm making a statement, and for both y'all ladies to utilize the military in both y'all respective branches and to build that upon that skill set to do something other, right? I know when I shared with y'all my transition, it was kind of like you talked about 2 kids, kind of rocky. It was like, but I had people there to make sure that I was taken care of, right? That, you
Mhm.
know, and some people don't have that. Like you said, your last three years was a little bit rougher for you, for that transition space. And you say, look, I couldn't do another 10 years. It's all a lot of things, you know, life be life, and right, you know, as we talk about that, life be life. And when you said that, you know what, I ain't gonna go into the Air Force. everybody does the Army. Navy, I really don't know how to swim, so that's it. I'm going in. I'm going into the Corps because if I make it through there, the few, the proud, and I could show, I belong. I
Yes.
could show I belong. I could show I could do it, and you did. Now, my question to you is, when you got to your Corps, your first duty location, I'm going to pass this over to you, to Paige, after. When you got to your first duty location and you arrived, how was you PB, a private, PB2? Like, where did I came in and the Air Force, we called the Air Baby, right? I came in at the E1, like I came in at the ground, like you can't come in no lower than I came in, like I came straight in from the ground and worked my way up. But when you got to your location and he's like, hey everybody, I'm Keshia, like how was that experience for you?
Oh, of course you're scared. I think, it's pretty much the first time that you're doing anything by yourself. Uh, so, I was at E2, checking in, and I was like, oh, I know they're gonna just say something's wrong with my uniform, all the things through your head, right? Do I have the right paperwork? Probably not. I don't know. I'm doing what they told me to do.
Mm.
But I signed up to serve my country, so it doesn't matter at this point. I'm gonna figure it out, right? But yeah, I can go back to that day like it was yesterday. I was like, what time do I have to be there? 11:59. Okay, well, if I go later, then it won't be that many people there. Might give me a night to adjust. I'm not even joking. I pulled up at like 11. Like, can I park right here? Yeah, but yeah, my first duty station was definitely a culture shock, to say the least.
Mm.
Yeah. What about you, Paige? Like when you got to your location, so you say you was at a long Texas, so you said over a year. So you was a year in training before you got to your first duty location.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
was kind of seasoned in the army way, right? From the training
Sort
aspect,
of.
but
It
you got
was, I
to
mean, it's a long time in a training environment. It's a training environment.
Mm.
So it's a different mindset than like permanent party, right? So
Hmm.
I mean, I was in Fort Jackson for basic and then Fort Meade for AIT at DINFOS. And but my first duty station, it was so weird, like, because we're such a small MOS, at least when I was in 25 Romeo. There's only like 8 of us in the AIT class. And so when we went to graduate, they're like, you're going to, oh man, where did they go? Not Knox. They went to
Campbell,
no, there's the other one where like 25 Romeos go to just rot. Like they
uh,
don't do
Leonardwood,
anything. Like
Fort Leonardwood. No,
no, no,
no.
no. Oh
Uh,
my God. I can't, but everyone went there. I can't remember which one it was, but they were like, you're going there, you're going there, and they get to me, they're like, you're going to Fort Gordon. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, what? Wait, everyone else is going, why am I going to Fort Gordon? And they were like, that's where you're going. And I was just like, I didn't realize how much of a blessing it was. Because I'll tell you, the first day, growing up on the West Coast, growing up in California, I mean, I wasn't in the Bay Area, but I was about an hour and a half away, in like the Central Valley, very farmlands and stuff. But went to the city all the time, went to LA, visited family all the time. The culture out on the West Coast is very different from Georgia. Georgia it's a whole other world.
yeah, it's a
Down
I'm
different
from
there.
vibe.
South
Yeah.
Carolina, so I
So
understand. I got
yeah.
it. I
Well,
got it.
I mean, South Carolina, I still like the vibe there's just different. It's like way more chill. Georgia is like I don't even like I was like, oh right, the peach state, they're gonna have like amazing peaches and like I'm like getting excited about things, but like man, the
Wow.
homesickness is real. Like out here in California, there's a lot of towns and stuff that are named like Spanish names, right? And I remember driving through a town that I saw and I was like, "Oh, Martinez. Ah, feels like home." Seeing a town called Martinez, and then the radio was like, "Down in Martinez." And I'm like, "I'm dying. I'm dying." But my first day in, I remember driving very clearly, like same as you, Keisha, like clear as day. I'm driving in because I went and drove my car across the US and like took stuff with me from home. And I remember I got pulled over right outside. Like I was like 10 minutes from base
Mm.
reporting. and they pulled me over because I was speeding because I was nervous. But
Yeah.
got in, and then immediately, you know, I got to I reported to the office, and after doing all the like DEERS stuff, and I found out that my unit was actually transitioning to being non-deployable. And for me, after spending a year in training, where training is all about deployment,
Yeah,
it
you
was
like
like actually kind of
a bummer.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's going on,
Yeah.
Devastated.
man? Y'all done told me I
Devastated.
was gonna be doing these things, and you telling me I'm not
I'm like,
deployable now. My unit, what's
I'm
going
like,
on?
you mean I'm
Yeah.
stuck in Georgia? And they're like, yeah. And then also they're like, and you're gonna work for the NSA, so it's gonna be 6 months before you can actually do your job. Like you're gonna do a bunch of busy work,
Mm.
around the base. So I did funeral detail. I did that. I did oh God, a bunch of like just odd jobs until my clearance went through. So and it was through the holidays. So I couldn't go back home. It was just really, it was very, very homesick, very
Um,
depressing. Yeah.
yeah. So we got 10 years for you, Keshia, 7 years for you, Paige, and I did a little over 20, a little over 2 decades for me. But I remember like all the individual and people I met through the times, the good times, the bad times. And now here I'm kind of back into society, right? Because I tell people like once you come into the military, it's like, yes, we have everybody from different locations, but when you're in the military, it just feels like the vibe and the energy is different, right? One of my best buddies, he was from Arkansas. I had another buddy from the Carolinas. I had
Mm.
one from Jersey. I had one from South Dakota, and when we deployed. And my first base was Alaska. Okay, imagine
Oh
this
no.
kid from Brooklyn, New York, first base Alaska, and that's where I met everybody. Right, so just imagine coming off the plane, I'm seeing it was a crew, and they welcomed me in, and that's why I think like in the
Oh.
military environment, is like that unknown, right? We go into the unknown, just like you said. 'Cause I don't know when I don't want to be late. I don't want to be early. I don't, I'm trying to. Paige like, well, I'm trying to figure out. I'm a year in training, and now I'm going to my first base. Now you have to, but it's that building that friendship over the
Mhm.
years
Mm.
and then transition. Now we're transitioning out, right? Because when I had to transition out, only really thing I knew was them. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like because I've
Mm.
I've I've went to different bases, different countries,
Mhm.
but the one thing consistent was my buddies that was in, right? It's like
Right.
like they understood. Like they
Yeah.
understood, like, yo, man, I understand the suck. Yeah, yeah, we going through the time and now we're all on the other side and we're doing different things. But that transition was hard for me, right? Because I still didn't know how to reintegrate myself back to being a back to Kings
Mm.
pre-military, right?
Mhm.
Because things. So my question and I'm passing to you first, Paige, is like, how was that experience for you when you had to? I tell people like it's like you pause your life, right? You ever had that like you press pause and then you think that's what I thought, right? I pressed pause for 20 years, thought I was gonna come back to the same Kings that when I left for the military and that. And it didn't go over so well, right? It didn't go over
Uh-uh.
so well. People went off and did they certain things, but I'm coming back because that's the only thing I knew. So, Paige, when you transition back to civilian center, like how was that for you when you like, hey, y'all remember me? I was the same girl, Cali girl, hey, I'm back. How was that? How was that greeting back to like, hey, I done my time, I got my certificate of passage, my DD 214, and I'm back into society. Like,
DT14. I it was, I mean, I'm writing a whole web series about all these weird, super specific, unique moments that we experience in the military, and this was one of them. It was really, I don't know, it was weird. It's like you're just like go go go, mission first, mission first. Like you just, especially White House Communications Agency, you have like no life. You're just on all the time. And then they're well, first they try to convince you to stay in, and I'm just like, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, you sure you don't want to re-up for 13 more years? I'm like, I'm really, I'm good. I promise. Like I think it was the best decision I ever made was joining at the time that I did. And it's brought me a lot of great experience and all of that. But when I was ready to go, I was ready. I was ready to go. I was ready for a new chapter. Um, but the getting out is so weird because, you know, everything's ceremonial. Everything's pomp and circumstance. Like everything has some sort of like tradition or something you do to like transition you from place to place. Not getting out. Like retirees get a retirement ceremony, you know, if they choose to. But if you're just getting out, like you take some classes and then you like sign this thing and the guy's like, that's it, there you go. And I'm like, so I'm done? And he's like, yeah. And I remember just leaving. It was like a trailer in like Fort Belvoir. And I was just like walking out of this trailer and I'm like, so I don't have to report to anybody. Like I'm just like, what do I do? You know, like, what
Like
do I
what now? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had lined up, you know, working at the White House, you cross paths with a lot of like GS guys. And so I had lined up to become a teacher at the White House Communications Agency and teach the specific audiovisual engineering that you need for White House missions. And they were God, it was like everything aligned to get me into film. So like I completely like I've been doing live events for so long, my brain was just live events. I had almost forgotten the reason why I joined in the first place, which was to make movies. So like I had this lined up. They were renegotiating the contract for the schoolhouse. They had 3 different contractors. I got in and interviewed with all of them. They all had me in the same position. So no matter who won the contract, I'm in. You know, I'm supposed to be making like upwards of like $96,000 a year starting. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's find it's better than enlisted money. Like, and so I rented a house based off of that because I knew I was getting the job no matter what. And then my start date came and my start date went and I hadn't gotten any phone calls, emails, nothing. So I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I call up and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And they're like, oh, you haven't heard. Ooh, call the S2. So I'm like, call the S2. And they're like, the clearance renewal, like the clearance building got hacked by China. So everything's on hold. Like they paused everything. So even though I put my clearance renewal paperwork in early, I
Oh
didn't have a
man.
clearance anymore.
So they can't even
So
bring you on.
they couldn't bring me on. And now here I am jobless with a house that I just rented. Like I spiraled. I fucking went like what I, you know, had a really good cry, a real good hard cry. And then called my cousin because my cousin was the only other guy that joined the military in my family. And he was I was like secret squirrel stuff and he was like green beret, you know, shoot 'em up, bang bang guy. So he had already gotten out. I'm like, dude, what the fuck do I do? He goes, I'll give you your first month's rent, like, you know, and then just see what's available. Like what programs are available. And I was like, well, I was gonna go to school, night school, but like I'll just do school full time because I found out the GI Bill gives you
Housing stipend.
your housing
Yeah.
stipend and like some food and stuff. So I'm like, fuck it, full time, let's go. So I just called the Art Institute because they were yellow ribbon. So everything's covered. And signed up, almost did sound, and then at the last second got that little intuitive, you know, voice. And it was like, remember film? I'm like, oh yeah, film school, let's go. So from there, just like never looked back, just like, you know, tripled my classes so I could save GI Bill time so I could transition back out to LA because I knew that's where I wanted to be. But it was I was like for a good few months because I had to wait for the school to start. So I had to wait for the semester. So that was like I got out in March, the semester started at the end of May. So I'm like eating peanut butter and drinking coffee and like just surviving for like
Yeah.
3 months. And honest to God, if it wasn't for, like you said, like if it wasn't for my buddies, that I was still in the DC area, if it wasn't for my buddies, that had also just gotten out or were still in, if it wasn't for them like just being around, you know. I don't know. I don't know, man. It was fucking
It was intense.
rough
Yeah.
for a few months. Yeah.
And it's like the land of the unknown, right? So uh, I know, you said, look, 10 years out, they like, look, cause that's the hardest one of the hardest things, right? Like you had 10 years, cause I got that talk, right? So they say, yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid, cause hey, I was overseas the first 13. So I'm in Europe, I'm in the Pacific, I'm having fun. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is what they mean, travel, see the world, yeah, but you know, that's minus the deployments. Now, when I say, man, I'm ready to come back home. This is over here getting kind of hairy, but you came to that pivotal point, that 10 years, and you say, you know what, I'm done. I wanna move on from my life. How was your transition? Because just like Paige said, like if you don't get to the retirement, and what a lot of non-veterans don't realize, and I share with people, not a lot of people go to retirement. They
Mm-hmm.
do one enlistment, maybe two. If you're an officer, they'll do their 10 years to get back for their schooling or whatever, and they on to something else. It's a small percentage that go to the 20 plus years, or what have you. Some, they come do 1 and 2 enlistments. So I guess you was on your second going to your third enlistment, or was it your first going on to your second?
I was on my second. Finished my second, then I extended because I really wasn't sure, but I knew I wanted to take the tour in Western New York. So I extended to take that tour. But yeah, exactly what both of you, are saying is exactly that, right? Paige in the Marine Corps is the same way. When are you going to sign on the dotted line next? Like, right? Not when are you going to get out? When are you going to sign on the dotted line
Yeah.
next? You're like, okay, I got hand cramp. I'm not sure right now, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I did the extension. But I think sitting back now, I think about how most of us join between the ages of 18 and 21, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the majority. And Kings, you said it, like there's no going back to who you were after 4, 10, 15,
Right.
20 years, 35. You're not going back
You're
there, right?
different.
You're different. And you're different because of the experience that you had in the
Mm-hmm.
military, right? You
Mm-hmm.
grew up a lot faster. You were in charge of other people when you didn't even know how to be in charge of yourself, right? Because they taught you that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And just like Paige, you said you were already in a training environment for over a year. And that's most of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually somewhere between 6 months to a year, you're in a training environment. And reality is you can do 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, you get 5 days of transition education,
Yep.
And so when you think about being 18 to 21, never really having a formal budget class, never really having to care about where you live, never having to pay for life insurance or health insurance or any of those things. And that's just the bare minimum, right? It's overwhelming,
Yeah.
especially when you say you're not getting a paycheck on the 1st and the 15th. So how do I find the right employment opportunity that can help me with everything that I need to financially be responsible for? And let's not add on if you have children or a spouse or anything else that you have. Um, but I feel like, in the transition space, that's when I was like, okay, I got to save as much money as fast as possible, as quick as possible to be able to transition. But then also, like, I have to navigate things I've never had to navigate before.
Mm.
And that is enough anxiety in itself before you add on any type of mental health imposter syndrome,
Right.
the lack of being able to make connections where you used to make connections even back home. So like feeling isolated. And that was like one of the biggest things for me is like I felt so isolated and I didn't even think about finding an organization to support me because I was so in shock that like no one understood what I had been through. No one even asked about like deployments or anything. They just like say, "Oh, Keisha's wonderful. She's a Marine." Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, yeah, like what does that
Like,
mean? Yeah.
like what? And so even having those hard conversations, if you don't have those battle buddies that you serve with, that you remain in contact
Mm.
with, which I didn't remain in contact with anyone because I was like, I'm getting out. I need to like refocus myself on what I need to do for myself. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
if I kept those ties, then I was going to continue to identify as Marine, right? And so that also like isolated me more in addition to going back home and not being able to have the same conversations that I did with friends that I had when I was, 19 years old and signing on the dotted line. So yeah, the transition space is difficult and it's lonely. And there's so many organizations and so many opportunities that are out there for veterans that they don't know about to keep them on the right track.
Hmm.
And starting with the friend next to you is always a good option, like you both have kind of mentioned, right? Grab that one buddy that you can trust, and if you can't pay your rent, maybe get on the phone with an organization, or if you need a mental health appointment, tell them you need a friend next to you. But
Yeah.
just really, pushing veterans to know that they're not alone. Transition sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't got to do it by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the female veterans, man, because when we get out, like our experience, like I'll give you a very clear example of what it's like being a female veteran. I have a friend of mine, she's a Marine, she's a writer, she's staffed in a writer's room for a TV show here in LA. Okay. There's also another Marine, he's a male, right? And the showrunner, and they're like brainstorming ideas and stuff. I guess, okay, well, so we have some military stuff. I don't know the guy's name, but like John, using the military, right? Like, what do you got?
Mm.
And he's like brainstorming and stuff, and she's like she's like,
No one asked her.
hello, like that's why she was hired, was because
Yeah.
she had the Marine
Right.
background, and like not once was he like, oh, also
Yeah.
the two Marines we have could
Hmm.
brainstorm. And it's also like the shock people have on their face when you're like, I'm a veteran. And they're like,
Yes.
Oh,
oh,
like, oh, you're a
Yes.
yeah.
veteran? Oh, you're not as a
You're not,
veteran
I
spouse,
get
or
it
you're not
all
as
the time.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
you're
Yes.
not a 6'2" muscular man.
Man.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been a huge mission of mine in the film
Wow.
space. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna transition to that. So now, could both y'all? So y'all say y'all never met in person yet, right?
No.
So,
No.
but you see how we communicating right now on the thing, like we knew each other for years, and that's why I love, one thing I love about the veteran space is like, once you see another, you got that, I call it the badge, right? You got the veteran badge. It's like you just have that connection to where
Mm,
you could relate, right? And that's anything
hmm.
when you're transitioning and or trying to figure out your next why. For me, when I transition, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Here I am. I'm 20 years in. I'm thinking I'm gonna stay, until they told me. I literally stayed until they told me I couldn't stay anymore. But I was trying to go, to the far end. I was like, oh man, I'll be all right. Y'all just thing. And then both y'all said it right. Like for somebody who make it to the retirement, it's a little bit longer process, but it's that networking, right? Like, oh hey, this person is retired, or you come back
Hmm.
into the system, but going through 7 years, 10 years, and then now you get 5 days of your transition and you're looking around and like, where's everybody? Oh, I don't have to get up and make formation, or I don't have to make PT, or I don't have to, turn this report in a time. What do I do? Where do I go? Paige, you say, you know
Hmm.
what? I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna figure it out. They give housing allowance. Okay, so I'm gonna go and get this film degree. And
Mm.
you said the Film Institute is the top one in the nation, right? So you even shot you like, I want to apply here and see what happens. Like
Yeah.
it's a yellow ribbon thing, and what's the worst thing they could say is no. And I'm sure, Keshia, you did that. It's like, wow, I'm a female veteran that's transitioning, and I don't know about these resources. So guess what? I'm gonna be what you called yourself, the
The serial
uh
volunteer.
yeah, serial
Yeah.
volunteer, right? Because he's like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to help others because I didn't have that help as a transition, or I didn't know where to
Hmm.
go or where to look or how to
Mm.
get around it. So my question is like, let's talk about this GI. This is the first time I heard of. I'm not even gonna lie to you. The first time I heard of GI Film Festival, right? And this is where y'all two stories are gonna meet up, because I heard you like, oh, where this and that. So Paige, I'm gonna pass it over to you first. Like, how did you get involved with the GI Film Festival? So you got two short films. You said and you made it clear. You said on this platform, on the GI Film. I got others. I got
Yeah.
others, but we talk about the two.
Yeah.
And And how was that transition? So you're in school, you're going to school, you know, it's a bumpy road. Like, hey, at least I'm getting some type of funding source in, but I need to do something with it, right? I can't sit on this knowledge.
Oh
How did you
yeah.
get around to the GI Film Festival?
So that was, oh man. So actually, I'm going to take it back a little bit. So I was in at AFI here in LA for my master's, and again, I joined only because I saw, or I applied. Joined, like everything's the military. Yeah. So I applied, not knowing whether I'd get in or not. I was still in DC. I moved I moved to LA before I even got notified if I got in or not, because I knew that's where I needed to be. It was a long shot. I just knew that if I could, I still had some time left on my GI Bill, so I knew if I could just start school on my GI Bill, I could help transition me into LA easier. Um, like the GI Bill, fucking lifesaver. Like, if you're listening and you haven't used it, just use it. Just go to school, get some extra money, like help yourself out. And there's a community in school, and we're, primed for connecting with community. So, um, anyway, it was coming up to have to, pitch our thesis, like what we were going to do for our second year. And this is the one that's going to go out into the world and, change your life. And when I first decided, like when I got out of the military and I started film school, I was like, you know what? That chapter's done. Like, I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to deal with it. Moving on. I'm a filmmaker now. I am not a soldier. And it was just like this thing I thought I would never have to really talk about. But when it came to do my thesis, I just realized the conversations that I was having with a lot of my peers in school were these fucking hilarious stories about my time in the military. And they had no clue. They're like, wait. That happened in the military? And I'm like,
Like, yeah,
yes.
you'll be surprised.
You would be absolutely shocked about the kind of culture that it is, and I realized I was sitting on this gold mine of stories. Like, I didn't like officially deploy to a combat zone, but I did do a lot of missions with the White House, like all over the world. And I had a lot of friends that had deployed and come back, and we'd swap stories and things like that, and my cousin and everything. So I know that the movies that are out there right now is like 5% of military experience, as you guys probably know. It is only combat. It's mostly men. It's mostly white men. It's mostly straight white men that we see, out there as displayed as, what is military and what is tough. But in my experience, like, I had girls more petite than me carrying the same load of gear for 12 miles, like the other dude that's like 6'5", right? Like, and just killing it. So, like, as far as to get back to the question, not try to veer off too much, I was like, I think I need to tell these stories. I think I need to tell these stories that are not combat centered, combat in the background, like that, the experience of just the culture and the life and like what is the military, like the spirit of it,
Yes.
and then represent like the people that I were shoulder to shoulder with, in the military, which is all over the map, like men, women, people of color, queer people, immigrants, like people from like all corners of the world coming together all at once in our own culture shock, all at
Yeah.
once, like absorbing this other culture that is our branch of the military and just owning it like family. And just wanting to do that. And so that's kind of where Guidon came about. And then the web series I was talking about, that was like one of the episodes from the web series, basically. And when we got out, we got done with everything and we were ready to like submit to festivals, again, COVID time. We applied to just as many festivals as we could that kind of related. So like female forward festivals, military festivals. And GI Film Fest, my first experience with them, like I said, was online. So I didn't really get to connect as much as I did the second time that I was there. But I really enjoyed the way that they had organized it. They had brought people on. They had the guy, don't hate me with my names. I am also have my mental health things that I deal with, but the guy from Forrest Gump, he played Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. What's his
Yes.
name? They had him there, like, hosting it and everything, and I was like, wow, all right, guys, you're doing something. You know, you're involved in the community at that level. It's not just like,
Yeah. So
hey, we
Gary
like
said,
military.
yeah, Gary
Yeah.
Sense. I think that's his name. Gary Sinise.
Oh, Sinise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, it just felt like it was people that either had family that were military or they were prior military and it was being ran by them. I also love that they work closely with public broadcasting. Um, so yeah, that was kind of like my first experience, long-winded version of it.
No, that's good because it's good to look at the journey, right? And what you're doing now and coming into the GI Film Festival, having uh, two short films on this platform. And Keshia, I just want to say, you know, with you coming into this space, I'm gonna ask how you got into the GI Film Festival space. But hearing your story, I like, wow, that's once again, here we go. We're gonna relate. So
Yeah.
here I am coming out the military, transitioning because I couldn't stay in any longer. And then I went back to the city. I went back to, to the 5 boroughs, and I like, yo, everybody, I'm back. They like, yo, my guy, this ain't where you left. There's things are different. Things are different here. Different areas.
Mhm.
It's a different energy. So I was like, man, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I looked into technology, cybersecurity. I went to school for that. I used my GI Bill. Look, see, so I'm relating with you, Paige. I used my GI Bill because I know I couldn't carry a weapon anymore, right? So I was like, well, I guess I can't be in law enforcement for a while, so I need to do something else. So one of
Yeah.
my buddies told me about cybersecurity. It's like, hey, it's like law enforcement for technology. I said, okay. So that's what I did. I found a school that was veteran friendly. I went there for cybersecurity, used my GI Bill, went back for data science, um, use it again because I like, man, I need to get more information because might as well call me can't get right? Because I was still in that, like, man, I don't understand. I know how to turn on the computer and surf and all, but when you talking to going behind the scenes, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Paige. Is like, it's a different type of when you in that environment, like, a lot of stuff that like the normal regular population don't know. But like, man,
Yeah.
what you mean communication? You just pick up the phone and call somebody. Like, no, it's more. It's
Yeah.
more to that, right? It's more like how does the actual communication works and how does the feed and receiving and all that stuff. So, going into the technology field, and then after I finished the second program, I kind of hung around because it was the COVID era, right? So it was virtual. So I kind of hung around the virtual hallway of the school, and they had an opportunity for a internship, but it was unpaid. So here I am, did 20 years in the military. I'm like, man, they don't know what I did. I did this for my country, like unpaid. Like, come on, get out of here. Like, so I'm over here applying for different jobs, and you know what the constant reminder I was getting to myself at these jobs? Oh, cool story, bro. Oh, you did that then, but this is here. Like, what do
Mhm.
you? So I had to humble myself. I had to humble myself, and I got picked up for that unpaid internship. And I told myself, I said, you know what? Is nobody gonna outwork me? They might be smarter, they might be faster, but they're not gonna outwork me. So that unpaid internship went to a paid internship,
Mm.
and then mind you, when I was in the course, I put in my feedback like, hey, I need to have this department to help veterans out in this transition space because it's a lot going on here. And they listened. They stood up the department. My resume was one of the first ones in for that position. It was a challenging, very, very competitive. Everybody wanted it, right? Because their school is good. I got picked up for it. So now here I am. as an advisor. I went from advisor to lead advisor. And here you go, Keshia. Here's the connection to director of the same school that helped me get to where I'm at now. So now I'm helping others to pull them through. Like, look, if I could do it, look, I understand. I was couch surfing. I was eating peanut butter and jelly. I was eating sardines. Yes, even being in for that long, because it hit me unexpected. Because I just thought life was going to be that easy transition once I went back into society, and it wasn't. It humbled me real quick. So my question to you, Keshia, how was that transition? Like you say, you was one of those seasoned veteran advocate, supporter, volunteers, and then now you're sitting at the director position. So walk me through that timeline.
Yeah, so very much like what you just said. I went back to kind of like what I knew. I was like, I am good at admin, right? I joined the Marine Corps as an administrator. I was like, well, I don't know where I should use my admin skills. So I worked as a contractor for a little while in the Navy, and then I realized that that's too close, right? Like it was just like being back in the uniform again. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that at all. And so then I worked as an EA for a little while, and at the time that individual had a nonprofit, and he was like, well, you ever thought about doing nonprofit work for veterans? And I was like, no, never even crossed my mind, right? I was like, I don't even know the first thing about veteran nonprofits. And he was like, okay, well, you're usually really good at training yourself up on things. So um, here you go, research it, see if it's something you want to do. Okay. So I started looking at all the things about veteran nonprofit, and was like, okay, that's pretty cool, you know. Like, well, you want to go work with the school? And I was like, sure. A school doing what? Manufacturing stuff. I never in my life manufactured anything. I said I was good at a computer, but okay, let's see what it's all about. So, you know, like, right, we adapt, we overcome. I did a lot of shadowing, a lot of learning the intricate details about fundraising and all that stuff. And every year I just kept getting better and better and better, right? I started off just doing like admin stuff, the attendance, right, documenting all that stuff, to running the entire operation of the school. And I think that, you know, that's one of the skills that we overlook as veterans, right? Everything's thrown at us when we're in uniform, and we figure it out. You figure it out with the person to your left and your right of you. You might not have all the tools, right? Marine Corps, our budget's this big. Big Navy's holding all my money. Like, so,
Right.
and sorry, you know, like we didn't get the hotel room. Here's this 2-man tent. All 4 of us are gonna sleep in it. It is what it is. So I'm like, this actually ain't too bad. My office has AC, right? Like, I get to eat. Paycheck comes in. I can figure out anything. And so I think, you know, that can-do attitude, you know, really gets us over some of those really rough hurdles. Which is also kind of like how I came to the GI Film Festival, is that we are looking for opportunities for marketing. And Scadina Daniels Communications is one of the sponsors of GI Film Festival San Diego. And so they came to pitch, like, here's what we could do for the nonprofit. And she was like, have you ever heard of GI Film Festival? And I was like, no, I haven't never heard of GI Film Festival. But tell me more. And so, again, did a lot of research on the back end. About 4 days later, I called her and was like, listen, count me in. Whatever I can do to support, count me in. And mainly because I never thought about film in a way that could tell authentic stories about the military. And I am the first one to tell you, I can't stand the Hollywood version, because even in the smallest factors, I'm like, that is not true.
That would never happen.
No, right? We would never do that. And then, like, I forget what the whole film is about, like, just because of that one thing. And so I definitely was like, authentic telling of the story, telling the stories that we can't get out on our own, whether it's because of emotions or the blocks that we believe other people are going to have about us as veterans, because that is a really big thing too, right? Like, we deal with some heavy things, and being able to process it in our mind is one thing, but being able to open our mouths and tell it is also, we sugarcoat things because we don't think the world is ready for it.
Yeah.
And film is one way to get it out there authentically, and I love that about it. So GI Film Fest was just a no-brainer for me. Yeah.
Wow. Nah, that's cool. And here we are, right? So now, Paige, you have two films. So we talk about, so what's this God on? Like what's the thing behind that? What's the theme behind that one? Guide on. Is it what I'm thinking? Like the guide on, like when
It's
you
the guide
have.
on.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay,
Yeah, it
yeah.
really is.
All right, all right.
So just to clarify, that's the only one that's going to be showing in the Best of the festival. The other peanut butter shot was just the most recent one that I had in the NGI Film Fest, 2023, I believe. Yeah. Um. So Guidon. So it was originally based on a true story about my experience in basic training. I volunteered, man. So basically, we were out getting smoked some random place in Fort Jackson, like doing push-ups and like rolling in the dirt. And in the distance, you could see one of the other units like practicing for their graduation. And our drill sergeant was like, "See that? That's gonna be you in like 2 months. Like as long as you don't fuck this shit up or whatever." And they're just like, "Oh yes, drill sergeant." And I looked and I'm like, man, you really can't. There's like so many of them, and you really can't see who's who, and except that fucking flag. And we hadn't gotten our flag yet. We were like day 2,
Yeah.
day 3. And so when they pulled it out, they gave it to the biggest dude. And that dude was just bitching the whole time. "I don't want to fucking carry this shit. It's already hard enough. I don't want this." Like, da, 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 da. And so the drill sergeant snatched it from him. He's like, "You don't want to carry the colors and that the whole spiel of like the colors and the esprit de corps." And they're like, "Who wants to hold it?" And I raised my hand because I wanted my mom to be able to see
To see you
me
the first one coming down holding
in
that, holding that,
graduation.
yeah,
That's
holding
my
that
daughter,
thing
because
forward, yeah.
my mom wanted to join the Marines, and her dad said that she couldn't.
Mm.
Like she would have to go to the Naval Academy and be an officer. I mean, this was the 70s, so like, let's be
Yeah.
real. Like he was probably protecting her. But my mom's dyslexic, and she's like, "There's no way I'd be able to do the
Mm.
Naval Academy." So she was living vicariously through me. So yeah, I volunteered, and my drill sergeant came up to me and he was like, "I've never had a female guide on before. I don't think we've ever had a female guide on before." And
Mm.
he's like, "You think you can keep the fuck up?" And I was like, "Yes, drill sergeant." Yes. And so he handed it to me and then spent the rest of basic training making my life extra hard, making me do some like just some stupid ass shit. Like just like
Oh yeah, you gotta hold that thing out there for an
But
extended
it's
period of
not even,
time.
yeah, but it's not even like I wasn't even like
Uh,
regular guide on stuff I was learning. Like he was making me do some like
no,
Going
crazy.
strong.
it's to think of the wax on, like the Daniel son, like the Mr.
I mean,
Miyagi. He
yeah,
was doing
that's
the
that's
Mr.
how I got
Miyagi.
through it. Like every day I'd like I had like a masking tape across my inside my wall locker that had like the days left, or what I thought was the days left. And every day I would just cross it off. I'm like, "All right, we got it. We got one day done. So however many more days left, just get through today." But yeah, he did some crazy shit. Like I think the hardest thing I had to do was we were on our way back from our last FTX, fucking like, I don't know, 15-mile ruck march. And it was the last mile, and he pulled me out because I had to have it on me all the time. So it was like strapped to my backpack. It was like extra weight on top of everything else. He goes, "Get that guide on out." And I was like, "Oh, yes, drill sergeant." So I had my battle buddy get it out and like screwing it together, and I'm like walking with it, right? And cross. And then he goes, "No, hold it up." So I'm like, "Okay." So I'm like walking with it straight, and he's like, "No, hold it up." So I'm like holding it up, and he's like, "Higher, higher." So I'm
Mm.
holding like the last like 12 inches of this thing
Yeah, the
up in the
shoulders are
air
killing you
above my
probably. Yeah,
head for the
I know your
last
shoulders.
mile, for the
Mm.
last fucking mile. And he's like, "Don't drop it or you don't graduate." And I'm probably not real, but you don't know what's real in basic training. So you're just like, I'm just like, I couldn't feel my hands, but you you just do
You
it.
adapt. Yeah, you
Yeah.
adapt
Yeah. So
and as I said, figure it out. It's only a
yeah, so
moment in time.
I took that experience and I condensed it, down to this film, this like 15 minutes. Just doing the
Nice.
first like 24 hours basically of basic
All right.
training. Yeah.
And it's going to be so is in the running for being the best 10 and like in the top 10. Like, so how does the film festival work? Like how like is it a voting or is it just you come and show your film? Like how is the GI Film Festival like situated? I don't know if you
I
can
feel like
answer that, Keshia,
Keisha can
Paige.
probably
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
you can.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. So it is organized and presented by KPBS, which is our San Diego public media station. And we have the advisory committee for the GI Film Festival, which I'm a part of, which is all volunteers. They're either military themselves, military connected, or working with military organizations. And so all submissions, we watch them, we vote, and then we also vote for the categories. And so this Best of the Festival is the best 13 films that we've showed. So that's why it's a big deal. It's also a big deal because we're celebrating our 10th year. We were founded in 2007. So in DC. So it used to be hosted in DC every year in 2007 and then moved to San Diego. And then we've been in San Diego. So coming back to DC is exciting for all of us. Back to the home roots, right?
Yeah.
And bringing the best of the festival, to everyone there for them to see it.
Wow. So Paige has so she's one of the 13. That's gonna
Yeah.
be, man, that's
She
cute.
made it.
So you made the cut. Paige, you made the
Yeah.
cut. I'm sure Keshia, how many submissions do y'all get? Like, is it like an annual, of course, festival, right? So it's an annual event. So how many submissions do you get roughly like for the event?
Yeah, so roughly we get about 100 to 200, depending on the year, right? But narrowing it down is really the hard part, because all of us watch all of the films and we all are expected to vote. And that's ours, right? So, I mean, there's a month where like I feel like I gotta watch a video like every day. Some of them are short, some are documentaries, some are full. And I mean, it's wonderful to be a part of it, but also great that you have so many individuals who have lived it, have firsthand connections, so that way we can remember to stay authentic, right?
Mhm.
And going back to all eras too, at all of the advisory committee, a lot of us have family members, so looking at even all the way back to Vietnam, World War II era stories that are told,
Mhm.
making sure they're told right.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's wow. This is great for the veteran and military community. One, like I said, I didn't even this is the first time I'm hearing about it, right? Like, and it's in the DC area. So do it go to different states? Like it depends, or just alternate between DC and California, like San Diego, or how is the locations picked?
I mean, if this podcast is gonna get us funding for all the states, we'll be happy to take it to all the states.
Hey, let's go all 50 states. We go overseas. We taking it international. We
Yeah.
going everywhere. We going everywhere.
So we have been in San Diego for the past couple of years, and we're able to take it back to DC this year. We would love to continue, that momentum, but again, everything runs on funding, right? And again, if anyone out there wanting to do all 50 states, um,
Here we go. And that's how I was gonna ask. So definitely to support to young aspiring veterans, like how can they reach out, how can they connect with y'all on your handles, on your social media, and what can they do? Like you already shared, Keshia, like this would support the event, share the event, post it, repost it, like what can we do, especially for our community, to keep pushing out the word? Because Paige, I salute you. It's either you're either in the top 10% or the top 5%, depending on if they got 100 or got 200 submissions, right? So either way, you in either the top 10% if they got 100 or the top 5% if they got the 200. So for you to be here, I'm sure like when you made the cut, like, what was your response? Like, man, it's finally paying off. It's finally like I I made it through. I don't know how intense. I'm sure Keisha's like hours and hours of reviewing
Mhm.
content, and they
Yeah.
say, you know what, God on is in there. Like that's it. That's not a question of moving. We need 12 more, right? We're gonna do 13. We need 12 more. She got a spot. So how was that for you when you got the notification that your film was gonna be shared?
I'm not gonna lie. So like guide on I mean, for a short film to be watched in a public setting like years past when it first comes out is like very unheard of. So
Mhm.
just because I had it in the fest with them in 2021, I believe, is when it was originally there. So to have it be a part of their like best of the best of all, like was like insane. Like, first of all, I'm like, it's gonna be great to watch this film again in with a live audience. Like as a filmmaker, sitting with a live audience, watching it and like
Mhm.
listening to the reactions and like feeling that energy is unlike anything else. But also like it's just I don't know, it's just it felt really special. I didn't think first of all, I didn't know that they were even doing anything like this. Second of all, to be a part of it just feels really it feels really special. And GI Film Fest over the years has become like just it feels unlike any other film festival, it just feels very like family almost.
Yeah.
Which I would never say about festivals because they're usually really like, like hardcore and like these are the rules and show up and da da da. And it's just like it's always been they've just been so kind to me and I assume to the other filmmakers as well. So it's truly an honor to be a part of their like top films.
Man, it's an honor to have you here to share your side of the story. You know what I'm saying? I tell people there's always three sides of the story. Your
Yeah.
side is somewhere in the middle, right? So thank you for being here to share your side of the story for your journey. And how can they get a hold of you, Paige? How can they reach out to you?
I'm mostly on Instagram, so you can follow me on Instagram and it's at dudette.director. So you can just follow me and, hit me up. If you're a veteran and you're interested in doing film, I I do my damnedest to set aside time and just like set up Zoom calls and just kind of talk to you guys about the industry and everything. So like if that's something you're interested in, like, DM me and let's see if we can chat about, what it's like and what you want to do and hopefully get you going because the more stories we can get,
Yeah.
just like a more broad spectrum of like who we are as veterans, that we're not all
Mhm.
just superheroes or so fucked up that we're a menace to society. Like there's a lot in between.
Yeah, I say,
Yeah.
we fall somewhere in between, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
we go in between.
I can be a
We
menace maybe every now and again.
like we just need more stories from vets,
Yeah,
honestly. Like
we
we're our
do.
own little demographic and we just need more representation.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. And Keisha, so how can they get a hold of you? Because I know, as being the program director, and now your task, because you on here now, so your thing is about to blow up, right? This GI Film Festival is going to be broadcast out, so now you're going to have extra work, right? So you're welcome. Like, hey, I'm about to send more people your way because the GI Film Festival, like, it should be on. I don't know if have you heard of the Military Influencer Conference, the MIC, by chance?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
So
have.
like,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So that every year, military influences from all around the world come there. So definitely to have you on that event as well, it'd be huge to
Yeah.
to get the GI Festival. Not especially in the DMV area, right? There's so many
Mhm.
veterans out there. So how can they reach out to you? How they could connect with you? How can they keep spreading the GI Film Festival for you to be that sounding board, that microphone?
Yeah, of course. So gifilmfestival.org is how you can find out about the DC festival. And the tickets are free. I got to throw that out there. It's no cost, but we do ask that you please reserve your seat. So make sure that we sell out. And then also, filmmakers, we're still accepting submissions for GI Film Festival San Diego. So that's gifilmfestivalsd.org. And we would love to see those submissions continue to come in. That event is going to be in May of 2026. So there's still some time, but not much time left for submissions. So get those in. Yeah, and for any women veterans who's out there, who needs to get connected to services, may need some financial support, may need childcare assistance, personal professional development, Foundation for Women Warriors. I'm the programs director. I would love for you to reach out, talk to our programs team, to get you the support that you need. Transition is rough. I just want to say that for everyone, for all veterans, you're not alone, but there's organizations like ours out there to help.
And check out this perfect leader. And that's why here on the vet, and some people like, man, what does SOS means? Veterans share stories, right? VET S.O.S. And the motto is you don't have to drown in the sea of transition. Grab that VET S.O.S. lifeline. Think of it as you're out in the middle of the ocean. It's pitch dark. And you see a ship coming by with one light on, but then you see that little round circle getting tossed out of the, you swimming over there real quick to grab it because you might be tired of doing doggy paddles or back float or whatever. You grab that and we'll pull you in. We'll pull you onto the boat. We'll get you dried up. We'll pass you on to people who's been through the journey and been through the rough waters. I tell you, I've been there. Keshia, you've been there. Paige, you've been there. But guess what? Look where we're at now. It was don't get me wrong, like the waves was over the head, sometimes went down, came up for air a little bit, had to put the scuba gear on, because sometimes I went deep, right? I'm sure just as some of y'all could relate. But as a veteran and as this community, we're always there to help each other out. And I just want to thank you for both y'all to come on and share your story and to talk about your transition, because like you said, Paige and Keshia, like it's not being shared, right? We're a small demographic, but it's like we all, ain't that crazy? We all have the same story and we never met each other.
Yeah.
Like when you see how we all connected, like when you go back and rewatch, like, wow, Kings had that happen to him. Paige had that happen to her. Keshia had the same thing. So it's not so, because I used to think that, oh, it's just me going through this. It's just, but no, it's more than just me. But in my head, it was just me. So I'm telling y'all, as a veteran, you do not have to drown in that sea of transition. Grab that lifeline. Pick up the phone. If you're thinking, and I'm looking dead into the camera right now, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, we have Veterans Day coming up, and if you haven't spoken to somebody for a while, if you haven't reached out and you still have their number saved in your contacts, just send them a quick message. If you have them on LinkedIn, Insta, if you still rocking on Facebook or the other social media handle, just reach out and say like, hey, you came across my mind. Hey, could that one thing could be somebody saving breath?
Yeah.
Right. So I just want to thank y'all. And don't forget, thank you for coming, sitting on the stool, sharing the scoop. Right? That's the hook. And I appreciate y'all ladies. Until next time, peace.